Hi guys, it's London here. Before we get started with the video, I noticed that many of you guys that watch my content actually aren't subscribed. So I'd be very appreciative if you were to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it. And I'll just get right into what this video is about. We all know that it is college season. We have been submitting our applications since November. The applications have been coming out in March and April, and people are accepting their admissions in May. And I thought, why not talk about the colleges I applied to, got rejected to, got accepted, and which one I want to go to. So obviously I applied to some safety schools. My two safety schools was UNLV, which is University of North Las Vegas, and UNR, University of Reno. And these are my safeties because they are in-state, and 100% I'm going to get accepted, and I'm graduating with a merit scholarship, which gives me $10,000 a year to pay for college. And both of these colleges are $10,000 or less a year. So I'll basically be getting a full ride. So definitely 100% my safety schools this year. Now, let's get into the venturing out schools, the ones that reached out to me and I decided to apply to them. Whether or not I thought about it beforehand is another question. CU Denver, it's a college in Colorado. Southern Utah University, or SUU, and University of Portland, Oregon are the ones that I applied to that were outside of my interest, I guess. Now we get to the big boys, big colleges, okay? Stanford, number one choice. I applied to colleges like Stanford because who fucking doesn't? I also applied to 5 UC schools. We have UC Berkeley, UC Riverside, UC Santa Barbara, UC Los Angeles, and University of Southern California. And we also have the two women colleges, which are Scripps College and Claremont McKenna College. All right, so now that we have all the universities out of the way, I kind of applied to a lot, but I'm poor enough that I didn't have to pay for the application fee or something. Yeah, I didn't have to pay for any of the application fees, so I could basically apply to all of these colleges for free. Now we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each college. Let's just start with the safety schools that I mentioned. University North Las Vegas, okay? It's in-state, means I get low tuition, okay? A full ride scholarship, as I mentioned before, because of the merit scholarship I am graduating with. It has an 81% acceptance rate. It's one of my top 3 schools that I am probably planning on going to. However, I'm not very passionate about the school, although I'm going on a tour this week, but I'm not passionate about the school most of the time. And I need to change my major. I originally applied to the school wanting to be a psychology major, and now I want to major in political science. So if I accept my admission, now I'm going to have to change my major immediately. Okay, my second safety school, University of Reno, also in state with low tuition, a full ride scholarship, as I mentioned before, 88% acceptance rate, covered with my scholarship. The cons, though, is I don't really like the school or its programs. That's really a big one. I don't really want to go to UNR. It's just a safety school, obviously. And the application was hella complicated and it's still not finished because apparently some of the stuff that other colleges got in my application, they didn't get. Now, we can talk about the extra colleges that I decided to apply for. So let's start with CU Denver. It is close to home. It's in Colorado. Colorado, itself is not too expensive. It has a good political science program. Its acceptance rate is 67%, and it's around $30,000 a year, which is not too expensive, but I could still get a scholarship on that kind of money. Some of the cons include I don't really like the idea of living in Colorado, and it's just also not my top choice of school. As I've stated before, it was a school that reached out to me to apply for free, and I decided to. Next, we have SUU, or Southern Utah University. It is close to home. It has a great political science program, amazing social life, 78% acceptance rate, and only $20,000 a year, which is also not too expensive. But it seems like at least the part of Utah that I'm in is very boring. Like they have like parks and stuff like that, but if I wanted to go spend time doing something in spring break, I probably wouldn't do it in Utah. And the school is overwhelmingly white. There's absolutely no diversity at the school. Minorities are lackluster, to say the least. And the last one, University of Portland, Oregon. It's close to home. It has a 77% acceptance rate, but it is $64,000 a year, which is pretty expensive. I'm not really interested in the college itself. I'm not interested in living in Oregon either. And has a super bad political science program, honestly. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm not going to fucking University of Portland, Oregon, okay? But let's just continue the video like I didn't say that. Now, we are going to the big boys, top of the top schools. Stanford, okay, it's in California, close to home. One of the top American schools, has an amazing political science program, but, the tuition, $75,000 a year. God damn, that's expensive, isn't it? That's like the most expensive school I have on this list. Living in California is expensive. That's going to be for like all the rest of the colleges. Like living in California is fucking expensive. And has a 4% acceptance rate. The chances of me getting in is not very high in all the rest of the colleges I will be telling you about. University of California, Berkeley is a beautiful tourist place in California and has a good political science program as well. It's a little bit expensive. It's $40,000 a year. That's a little bit out of like money that I'm able to kind of get out, and has only a 16% acceptance rate. It's a little bit higher than Stanford's, but still very low considering how many people applied to the University of California, Berkeley. Now we have University of California, Riverside. It has a smaller applicant pool, so I'm more likely to get accepted. Has a good political science program. The staff and the students seem very nice, and they have a 57% acceptance rate, which is way higher than all the rest of the UC colleges I applied for. But it is still a very expensive school. It's like $66,000 a year. Oh, god damn, boy. God fucking damn, mate. Like, why are these so expensive? I can't afford them. Anyway. Next, we have the University of California, Los Angeles. It is a great tourist place. Obviously, Los Angeles is like the hot spot of California. I will probably meet lots of people. It has a good political science program. It's $36,000 a year. It's a little bit expensive. It's not too expensive, though. It's not necessarily a pro nor a con. It's a 12% acceptance rate, still very low. Living in LA in general is really expensive if I wanted to move out into my own apartment. And they have a history of being racist for decades and still seem to continue to be racist. That's a topic for another day. Anyways, now we have University of Southern California. Has a good political science program, but it is $77,000 a year. That's very expensive. That's even more than Stanford's. Has an 11% acceptance rate, which is super small again. And living in California in general is expensive. That's going to be without saying for all of these colleges, again, like I've said before. Then we have University of California, Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara is a beautiful place to live. It has a good political science program, but it has a 30% acceptance rate, still pretty low. It's not too low as the rest of them have been, but it's still fairly low. And it's $36,000 a year. Again, like University of California, Los Angeles. It's not too expensive and it's not cheap either, so it's just a little bit of a middle of the road. Next, we have Scripps College. It has a good political science program, and it's also a women's college, so it will probably cater to someone like me the most. But it only has a 32% acceptance rate, and it is $77,000 a year, which is really expensive. That's more expensive than Stanford, guys. And last but not least, we have Claremont McKenna College, which has a good political science program, is also a women's college, but has a 10% acceptance rate and is $76,000 a year, which is super expensive, and that's about the same as Stanford, except it's still a little bit more expensive than Stanford. Now that we've got those out of the way, let's look at who I got rejected from, who I got waitlisted from, and who I got accepted to. Unfortunately, this is the list of colleges I got rejected by. We got rejected from Stanford, from University of California, Berkeley, from University of California, Santa Barbara, from University of Southern California, from Scripps College, and from Claremont McKenna College. That's a full list, isn't it? Okay, but in the bright side, I got waitlisted to UCLA. It's racist, but that's still an accomplishment for a school with a 12% acceptance rate, and that's just the average because this year it was like 8% acceptance rate. So I'm kind of happy that I got waitlisted. Doesn't mean that I'm going to go or anything, but a waitlist is a waitlist. Am I right, guys? You have to celebrate all the little things that you can get. Now, the people that accepted me, University of California, Riverside, okay, we're spicing stuff up. CU Denver, all right. University of North Las Vegas, of course. University of Reno is still getting back to me because of all the stuff that I told you, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting accepted. Southern Utah University and University of Portland, Oregon, but I'm never going to University of Portland, Oregon.